An event like the NSRA Nationals is a golden opportunity for street rod and muscle car enthusiasts to explore new styling trends and cutting-edge techniques. Some of the sweetest eye candy can be found inside the Kentucky Expo Center Hall, where vendors adorn their booths with amazing machines. Just walk the aisles and you'll see the future of classics from the past. Welcome to the Lokar Car Show, coming to you from the Kentucky Expo Center. For over 2 decades, Louisville has welcomed street rod, custom, and muscle car fans to the NSRA Nationals, and over 10,000 vehicles have answered the call. It's a spectacular smorgasbord of speed and style, and sometimes those traits are combined to create one exotic, eye-catching, nasty vehicle.
It's a 1930 Hudson Coupe. It has 2 big block Chevrolets, 502s, 2 871 blowers. It has 2 Holley 600s, 2 400 turbos. It has a 9-inch Ford rear end with 2 third members, with 3 O gears and 2 Detroit lockers. But there is a center axle between the 2 third members that divides all the power out. And between the slippage of the torque converters and everything, you can drive on 1 motor, you can drive on 2 motors, and can't tell the difference other than the horsepower if you just have 1 motor on it. And it drives just like a car. Pass everything but a gas station. The body has been widened 13 inches. The top has been chopped 3. We used 1 body. And the body had 156 bullet holes in it from setting in a farmer's field. So we re-sheet metaled the whole car. There was no back on the car from the back of the cab back. So we made the whole rear end of the car. It's basically all fabricated. There's not much of the 30 Hudson left. It's what they call a square car. The cab is square, so it's pretty much a straight down drop, which that makes it easy, but then we had to jig it all to widen it 13 to keep it all square. Because if you get it off square, then the doors don't fit, nothing fits. Everything was hand formed except for the front fenders, and they're steel 1927 T fenders. It drives great because the car weighs 5,200 pounds, it's heavy, but when you got 1,400 horsepower and buku loads of foot-pounds of torque, it doesn't matter.
If you find side-by-side engines is a little intimidating, maybe you would prefer your power plants in tandem.
SS854 stands for 854 cubic inches because it has 2 engines. Each engine's 427. Front engine has a coupling mechanism that goes from the flywheel of the first engine to the harmonic balancer crankshaft of the second engine. They have to run together. There's 2 GM computers. Now they're independent computers, they're not tied together. So if what happens is if one engine needs more fuel, then the computer will sense it and increase that fuel to that engine. The only modifications we made to the body on the car was the rear quarter panels, and they are stretched out 1 inch, widened out for the larger tires in the Corvette transaxle. But the rest of the car is stock dimensions. And what we were able to do is we moved the radiator in front of the core support. There's a top half for the front engine and a bottom half for the second rear engine. Then we moved the front engine as close as we could. Second engine is tucked up under the cowl, and we made a housing similar to what you'd have in a van. And so those 2 engines are tied together front to back, and they're connected to a Corvette torque tube, which goes to a C6 transaxle in the back. The third thing we did that was really important is we added 3 inches to the dash, and we moved the steering column back, and the brakes and the seat and the roll bar, everything went back 3 inches also. And that gave us enough room to where you felt comfortable getting in and out of the car, sitting in the car. It feels a lot like sitting in a regular Camaro. But we tried our best to make it a car that you could literally drive down the grocery store and get groceries in. may not look that way, but you could.
Time now for the Lokar Lowdown. Quality products for show and go.
This week's Lokar Lowdown is all about getting in and out of your vehicle in style. Your hot rod, Brian Downer with us from Lokar. What a whole array of products you have.
We do. We've been real fortunate over the years. We've been able to come up with a lot of products. We started off down here with our interior door handle that'll let you open the door, and we've got door pockets to help you pull when you're making custom handles. We've also got through the muscle car stuff and through our pedals, we've been able to develop door handles, window cranks that are windowed to match our pedals. They come in our Midnight Series brushed or our polished, and then we'd be able to take our Lakester one step further from the Lakester pedal that we have and match it with our pieces that we have here. They're chrome, black, or Midnight Series, and you can also get them in raw.
Oh, and the raw, you know, just kind of goes along with the folks that have the Lakester stuff, kind of fits their rides real well.
Right.
Well, what about from the outside getting in?
Yeah, from the outside getting in, we've just recently come up with our Goolsby, they're billet exterior door handles. We have them in our standard size and our XL. The standard, you'd have to pocket the door to get your finger in there to push the button. On our XL, you can bolt it directly to the door panel, and then you'll be able to push it. They come in a bright finish, they also come in a polished finish, and they come 0 degree and 10 degree angle based on what vehicle door you're putting them on.
Wow, all kinds of ways to customize your ride. Remember, Lokar products made in the USA. Hop on their website at lokar.com.
This edition of the Lokar Car Show is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories. Bidwood, God would, we do. And by Lokar, quality plain and simple. Welcome back to the NSRA Nationals, where there are fans of every age. The Kentucky Expo Center offers 1 million square feet of exhibition space, and every inch seemed to be packed with all sorts of items catering to the street rod audience. If the nearly 400 vendors didn't have it, you probably didn't really need it anyway. The automotive art form was everywhere, including a rare Ford with a half-century history, a unique beak, and a brilliant color scheme.
This is a 1933 Ford 5-window coupe. The car has 31 different cars built into it. It has a 331 Cadillac engine in it, Chevrolet 700 transmission in it, has a Oldsmobile rear end. Brakes are Lincoln backing plates, Buick shoes, Chrysler drums. So it has a lot of different variety of cars. There are 5 different cars built into the frame. Everything in this car came either out of a swap meet or a junkyard. The unique part of the car is the Brewster grill. And this grill that we found was in a barn. The car was completely collapsed, but the grill was still in pretty good shape yet. So we picked the grill up and built the car right basically around that grill. The car has 37 Chevrolet fenders on it, 2 fenders on each side in the rear that were made to follow up to the Continental kit on the back. That's a real Continental kit off of a 53 Ford. The gas filler comes out through the middle of that Continental kit, out through the wheel. You just take the cap off and the gas filler's right underneath that. Nobody can find the gas filler usually, so that's why we put it there. We've got probably a couple thousand hours into doing the paint work. Color that I started out as a Prowler orange, and I wanted it really more copper so that it resembled the color that it was originally. And so I added 2 different copper pearls to it and consequently got the color where I wanted it. We sanded it afterwards with 6 different grits of paper to get it to the luster that it is, the level that it is. It's a real piece of craftsmanship, and hope that it stays around forever.
Strolling the expo floor, you could see that the unique use of color was not limited to the various cars.
Hey, starts with 1, end up as 1.
Color and chrome are defining traits of our next beauty, the appropriately named Golden Empress.
What we have here is a car that I built for my wife. She had one previously, and I kind of sold it, so we had to make it up to her and build this one. We wanted to do an old school style custom. So we did the normal custom features like nose, deck, shade. We put some 55 Oldsmobile headlights in it, did some old school white leather tuck and roll with T-bird seats. The center console was custom formed and wraps around the back seats to the front dash. We have an old Caddy motor in here with a 390 mil, a really rare horn intake, and 4 chrome Stromberg carburetors. When we got this car, we bought it off a fellow in Ohio who had sandblasted it some 40 years ago. He cut the floors out of it, cut the rockers off it, and left it sit for 40 years. So we had quite the task set out for us. We replaced all the metal. I got my wife out in the shop, since it's her car, to actually help me bead roll and make the floors for it. Bent us some new rockers in it. Lots of metal work on the headlights. The hood has been shaved. The door handles have been shaved. It's basically cleaned up what Harley Earl and Billy Mitchell did some 60 years ago. And we came up with a custom candy gold with some PRLX 93 gold pearl in it. There's 6 coats of base and 7 coats of 2002 clear on this car. After it's painted, we'll start with 600 grit, go to 800, 1,000, 15, 2,000 grit, the whole way to 3,000 on a Trizac pad before a buffer even touches the car. We have a real close relationship with 3M and the sandpaper.
We have many more marvelous machines coming up for you, including a pickup from the 40s that has modern motivation. The Lokar Car Show will be right back. Welcome back to the Lokar Car Show and the NSRA Nationals. Coupes, roadsters, or rat rods may be popular, but everyone has a soft spot for the hard-working truck.
1940 Ford pickup truck.
When I first got it 6 years ago, and it had been upgraded and hot rodded at that time. I talked to 4 or 5 builders, and I said, I want a Coyote motor. They said, you can't do it. I said, what do you mean? I'm in the auto salvage business, and you can take a torch and a welder, and you can put most any engine. So I run across Steve. I said, Steve, what do you think about the Coyote motor? He scratched his head for a few minutes and said, yeah, we can do it.
We had to do some firewall work and some frame work, but just pushing it back enough and getting it in there is that'll do it. I had always kind of had an idea about doing a big back glass in a 40s type truck that never came with one. And we made the whole back window surround, and then we made the mold for the glass, sent it to California, and had a glass made for it. So it's all custom.
So if you're going to build another truck like this truck, what changes would you make? I said, 0.
Since 1970, Dennis Carpenter's been reproducing top quality restoration parts for Ford cars and trucks, and we've got a great standing with the restoration community, and we're really proud of our product line and what we supply to the hobbyists. What we got on display here is our newly introduced 66 through 77 Ford Bronco body tub, just released about 2 weeks ago. New stamp steel from brand new tooling, and it's assembled in Canfield, Ohio. Jig assembled, welded together. We think it's going to be an awesome product for the Bronco market. We have our floor pans for 48 to 52 Ford truck. We've got on display also 1948 to 52 rear fenders, nice quality steel. Also on display we have 1953 to 56 Ford truck rear fenders made from original Ford tooling, good quality, high quality steel product. Also on display we have a 56 truck here with our 1953 to 56 Ford running boards. Again, also made from original Ford tooling, good quality product, and very proud to have those among the restoration group. Firewall, what we have on display here is from our 48 to 52 Ford truck. It's in development stage right now. Trying to just fine tune the tooling to make sure the product is a good fine fit. So that we're really geared up for a lot of the 48 to 52 Ford truck products, from front fenders. We've got the rear fenders, and of course now we're getting into a lot of the grill components and ultimately grills and hoods for the same truck.
Keeping with our current truck theme, we came across a rare Mopar product that has been reborn after a lifetime of hard work.
It's a 1962 Dodge quad cab pickup. I did a single cab half ton once, and I sold it, kind of missed it, and I started looking for another one, and then I seen a picture of one of these quad cabs, and I thought it would be kind of cool to do one. I don't think I've ever seen one done. They were all mostly military, U.S. forestry, and railroad trucks. We left the body stock. I guess basically I didn't want to knock any of the ugly off of it. Just tried to fix all the rust, all the holes, and straighten the sheet metal. The bed I got out of the woods that had a tree on it. I mean, and it was rotted beyond recognition, but it was the only thing I had, so I had to fix it. The tailgate, I found a guy had taken it off a truck that he bought back in the day, and it was in his garage for like 30 years, and it was like mint condition, so I got lucky there. This was originally a 4-wheel drive power wagon, and they rode like lumber wagons, and basically, I wanted to make a 2-wheel drive, so we designed the chassis up, Roadster shop built it, the thing rides like a new Caddy now, It rides awesome. I mean, you can fall asleep driving it. It does ride awesome, just not so much fun to turn around in a tight spot.
Not every vehicle on display at the NSRA trade show was meant to be stared at. One particular car was there with a higher purpose.
The car is a 1940 Ford Deluxe Coupe. Cozair Charities, this is our 7th annual car giveaway to raise awareness for organ transplants for children. And all the proceeds from all our car sales in the last 7 years has gone to help organ and tissue research. The gentleman that started our program 7 years ago passed away in December. This was one of his cars that he had personally done by a gentleman named Sam up in Indianapolis. It was totally stripped down. Apparently Bob and Sam had a mutual respect when it came to organ donation. They both were transplant recipients, so it was really dear to their heart. And that's why he started this car giveaway to give back. Out of 7 years, we've raised over $900,000, and this year we're trying to hit over that $1 million mark.
Stay with us for more of the Lokar Car Show, because when we return, we'll get a close-up look at a car that was inspired by the legendary Ed Big Daddy Roth. This edition of the Lokar Car Show is being brought to you by Genie Hitch, towing made easy. Digiwatt Universal Relay System, the new unit of power. Steel Rubber, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. And by Lokar, quality plain and simple. Welcome back to the NSRA Nationals at Louisville, Kentucky. There isn't enough time to show all the stunning cars on display here, but whether your tastes run to Italian police cars on the prowl or to Corvettes with huge headers, the Nationals have something for every taste.
It started out as a bone stock Model A, directly out of a barn. It had been parked since the 60s. It was in really good shape. It needed the normal Model A patch panels in it. Then we, of course, chopped the top 4.5 inches, no fenders. The engine is a 1957 Oldsmobile 371 cubic inch. It's got a Krager 471 blower setup with a original V-drive on it. Oldsmobile was the first overhead valve V8 engine, so it was, in a sense, one of the original hot rod engines. And this car is built to be a traditional style, late 50s, early 60s inspired type car. It'll run as fast and as hard as you want to go. 340 gears and a quick change. This thing runs down the road about 1,900, 2,000 RPM at 80 mile an hour. It's about 18.8 for mileage. And we drive this car a ton. It's got around 15,000 miles on it right now, and that's in just a little over a year and a half's time.
Making street rods comfortable to drive is not always easy, but a smooth ride and crisp handling is a specialty of Scott's Hot Rods.
We've developed a C10 IFS 20 years ago, but we made it a bolt-in configuration in 2010. Our unit actually narrows the track up 1.5 inches per side, centers the wheel up at 1 inch forward. We have 6.5 degrees of caster built in the suspension right off the bat. We have up to 11 degrees of caster built in the suspension where you can adjust if you want to go to 11 degrees of caster, but it's really up to the customer on performance handling purposes as well. Camber, we set it right at a 0, toe in about a 1/16 inch towed in, and we have different sets from there as well too. All the fasteners, bolts are all grade 8 fasteners. All the rod ends are CNC machined out of 304 stainless steel. The A-arms are 1 1/8 quarter-inch wall DLM tubing. Forged steel spindles that we manufacture in California. Base brakes, 11-inch rotor GM caliper. We have 12-inch, 13, 14-inch Wilwood calipers as well, and options for bigger brakes as well. But the best thing about our product is everything down to the washers and bolts are domestic made. And that's really big on what our fashion at Scott's Hot Rods. We do have a lot of guys that want powder coat products, powder coat AR and spindles. We do offer that as additional cost, and we can do pretty much any color you can imagine in powder coat. Second product is our new AC bulkhead for air conditioning. Very nice product. It's actually part of in my opinion, the best looking bulkhead on the market. We have a few major companies that are interested in carrying the product line, and they specialize in selling air conditioning kits, so it actually should work out pretty good. The demand for it is minus just being a manufacturer, we all a full service hot rod shop. So we built a handful of extremely high-end vehicles over the years, and we continue to build cars, new every day in the shop or at our shop. So with that, we always look at what we can do to enhance our product, to make it look better, have our own touch on it. So that's where we took that in play on the AC bulkhead. The ones that are on the market, it's just really a flat piece of aluminum, and you put it in a firewall. It looks very plain. So we kind of took it to the next step and did more of a 3-step CNC machine process, a thicker piece of billet, more detail, and the price point's about $10 more than the ones on the market. All of our stuff, again, at Scott's is made in the USA 100%, down to the materials, down to all the engineering part of it, even down to the washers, shims, materials, and we build everything in-house 100%. I mean, we do all of our CNC machining in-house, all of our engineering's done in-house, and that's what makes us more unique than some of our friendly competitors out there across the United States.
Now for something completely different.
It's the Baja Bandido. It's supposed to be an early to mid-1960s radical show rod. Because, you know, when you go to a car show, you want to see a show car. So I guess my mission in life is to impress 8-year-old kids. So that's really what I set out to do. Ed Roth is my big influence, and I always tell people if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be dead or in jail by now. I met him once, and he was very cordial, and he was like, you know, you can build a 50 Mercury and, you know, do packet taillights, DeSoto grill teeth, and it'll be a beautiful car, but it's still a 50 Mercury. And for the same amount of time, you could just go ahead and, you know, build something unique, genuinely different, whatever rolls around inside your head. And I was like, you know, well, that's all nice, but it takes forever to build a car like that. And he's like, stop watching television. But, you know, what do you mean? Everybody watches TV. He's like, you ever watch Gilligan's Island? Watch one episode. They never get off the island. The body's like a paper mache, and the way I did that is I built my basic shape of a give or take of about where I wanted to be. You take newspaper and a 5-gallon bucket, and you mix up some vermiculite and plaster together, and the vermiculite gives it volume as the paper does, kind of hang it on the car and pat it, get it in shape. And if you come back a day or two, you'd be amazed at how stiff and hard that is. All the plaster, I rolled fiberglass over it, and then you knock the plaster out of the back, and then you've got a body. You grind it down, you do your body work, you put a bubble on it, and go have fun. The interior, I like to call it albino Wookiee fur. Very rare in the Star Wars universe is an all albino Wookiee. And I some 3M spray glue, and I just glued it all in. When it gets a little dinged up and little kids get a little too rambunctious like me and they jump on it and stuff, it gets scratched. After about 5 years or so, I'll fire it up and I'll get it running and I'll drive it around. That's like the final reward, you know?
That's all the time we have for this edition of the Lokar Car Show and the NSRA Nationals. But be sure to join us next week when we head to the Tennessee mountains in the shades of the past gathering from Pigeon Forge. See you then.